Bartholomew was a hound with a booming bark that could be heard from miles away and an even bigger ego. He strutted around the neighborhood, his head held high, always ready to show off. He loved to boast about his speed to anyone who'd listen. "I'm the fastest dog in the whole wide world," he would declare, puffing his chest out. The other dogs, tired of his bragging, would often roll their eyes or chuckle amongst themselves. They had heard his claims 1,000 times before. One sunny afternoon, Bartholomew was in particularly fine form, bragging about how he could outrun the wind itself. He pranced around the park, his tail wagging with excitement. "Oh, Bartholomew," sighed Penelope, a wise old collie who had seen many such boastful dogs in her time. She approached him with a gentle smile. "Speed is all well and good, but what truly matters is what you chase and why you chase it." Her words were filled with wisdom and experience. Bartholomew, however, paid no heed to Penelope's words. He was too caught up in his own self-importance to listen to anyone else. He continued boasting, his ego inflating with each boast. The other dogs watched him with a mix of amusement and annoyance. Just then, a small brown rabbit darted across the field, catching Bartholomew's eye. His ears perked up and he immediately gave chase, determined to prove his speed. The other dogs watched in silence, curious to see if Bartholomew could back up his boasts. The chase was on, and Bartholomew's moment of truth had arrived. "See that rabbit? It's standing there, alert and ready, as if it knows something exciting is about to happen." Bartholomew barked, his tail wagging excitedly. He had been eyeing that rabbit for a while now, and his excitement was palpable. "I bet I can catch it before it even blinks," he thought, his confidence soaring. With a burst of energy, he sprinted forward, his paws pounding the earth, and with that, he took off in a cloud of dust, leaving the other dogs behind. They watched in awe as Bartholomew's determination drove him forward. Bartholomew thought he was fast, and for a moment he seemed to gain on the rabbit. His heart raced with the thrill of the chase, but as the chase wore on, the rabbit's lead grew. It was clear that the rabbit had the advantage of agility and speed. It darted and weaved through the tall grass, leaving Bartholomew confused and disoriented. The rabbit seemed to know every twist and turn of the field. Finally, exhausted and defeated, Bartholomew gave up, his sides heaving. He had given it his all, but the rabbit was simply too quick. The rabbit, long gone, was nowhere in sight. It had vanished into the distance, leaving Bartholomew to ponder his defeat. As he trudged back to where the other dogs were lounging, he was met with laughter. They had been watching the whole time, amused by his futile effort. "Looks like the wind is faster, Bartholomew," teased Bernard, a mischievous terrier. The other dogs joined in, their playful banter filling the air. Bartholomew, humbled and embarrassed, slunk away, his tail between his legs. He had learned a valuable lesson about overconfidence and the speed of rabbits. Penelope, seeing Bartholomew's dejected demeanor, approached him. "Bartholomew," she said gently, "speed isn't everything. You see, the rabbit and you were both running, but you were driven by different things." This piqued Bartholomew's interest. He had never considered why the rabbit was running. He was too focused on his own boastful pursuit. Penelope continued, "That rabbit was running for its life. You, my dear, were running for your dinner." Bartholomew, still panting from his exertion, looked at Penelope with confusion. He had never thought about it that way. Why did the rabbit's reason for running matter so much? Penelope, seeing his confusion, decided to explain further. "There's a simple equation," she said, "that explains why the rabbit, despite being smaller, was much faster than you." Section 4. Life or dinner? Motivation, Penelope stated, is what drives us. It's the force that propels us forward, the spark that ignites our actions. Without motivation, we would be stagnant, unable to achieve our goals or overcome obstacles. And motivation is a product of two things: expectation and value. Expectation is our belief in our ability to succeed, while value is the importance we place on the goal. Together, they create a powerful drive. Bartholomew, still trying to catch his breath, looked even more confused. He had never thought about motivation in such a detailed way before. It was all new to him, and he was struggling to keep up. Penelope continued, "Expectation is how likely we think we are to succeed, and value is how important the goal is to us. If we believe we can achieve something, and it matters a lot to us, our motivation will be strong." She looked at Bartholomew, her eyes twinkling. She knew he was starting to understand, but she wanted to make sure the lesson stuck. Now tell me, Bartholomew, what was the rabbit's expectation of success if it didn't outrun you? She asked, her voice gentle but firm. Bartholomew, finally catching on, stammered, "Well, I guess it would have been dinner." "Exactly," Penelope barked happily. The rabbit's life depended on its ability to escape, so its motivation was incredibly high. The rabbit's life was on the line, so the value was incredibly high. It wasn't just running for fun, it was running to survive. This made its motivation to escape you extremely powerful. And since it believed it could outrun you, its expectation was also high. The rabbit had both high value and high expectation, which combined to create an unstoppable drive to survive. High value, high expectation equals very, very high motivation. This is the essence of what drives us all, whether we're chasing a dream or running for our lives. Section 5. Motivation dissected. Bartholomew, now understanding, asked, "But what about me? I was motivated to catch that rabbit." Penelope nodded. "You were, Bartholomew, but your motivation was different. You expected to catch the rabbit because of your speed, so your expectation was high." However, she paused. How important was catching that rabbit to you? Bartholomew, thinking back to his boastful proclamation, realized that catching the rabbit wasn't really that important. It was just for bragging rights, he admitted sheepishly. "Exactly," Penelope said. "The value of catching the rabbit was low for you. High expectation multiplied by low value equals low motivation. That's why you ultimately couldn't catch the rabbit." Section 6. The power of zero. "This," Penelope said, circling Bartholomew slowly, "is the important part. If either your expectation or the value is zero, your motivation is zero. You won't even try if you don't believe you can succeed, no matter how much you want it. And you won't try if it doesn't matter to you, even if it's easy to achieve." She stopped in front of Bartholomew, looking at him intently. "Think about it, Bartholomew. How many times have you or the other dogs not even tried to do something because you thought it was impossible or unimportant?" Bartholomew thought back to all the times he hadn't even tried because he thought he would fail, or because it didn't seem worth the effort. Section 7. Understanding our actions. Penelope continued, "Understanding this simple equation, this understanding of motivation, is important, Bartholomew. It helps us understand our own actions, why we do what we do, and why we sometimes don't do what we should." Bartholomew, humbled and enlightened, nodded slowly. He finally understood. It wasn't enough to be fast or strong. What truly mattered was the fire within, the motivation that drove one to chase their goals. From that day forward, Bartholomew was a changed dog. He was less boastful, more thoughtful. He still loved to run, but now he chose his chases carefully, driven by purpose rather than pride. And though he never did catch that rabbit, he learned a far more valuable lesson that day, a lesson about the true meaning of motivation.